Hello, all of you gamers, professional and casual out there in the world. I am MegaAmpster. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you're new here, great to have you here. Welcome to the channel. If you're a returning viewer, hey, always great to see you here. Thanks for stopping by for a bit. So, just wanted to make a quick little video about just my thoughts overall on cloud gaming, which is a feature that's kind of come up in the last, like, maybe 5 years or so. Apparently it's existed before then, but in a more primitive state than what we're seeing now. Especially I wanted to talk about this because of the closure. To be honest, I'm surprised it took this long, of Google Stadia, which just shut down, as you can see here, 2 days ago as of this recording. Apparently they refunded all subscribers. I never subscribed myself. They refunded all subscribers, which is great, and refunded their purchase and everything. The other cool thing is that apparently the Stadia controller, which I've actually heard is a pretty solid controller, you can download like a driver that will allow you to use it as Bluetooth for other systems, which is really cool. So it's cool that they were doing that. And good to see, like I said, that they were refunding everybody here. So in, like, the presence of this event going on, this foreclosure, I kind of wanted to think about, you know, cloud gaming has had a very, I want to say there's been a stigma against cloud gaming ever since it's really become big in the last, like, 5 years or so. Because a lot of it is dependent on how stable your internet connection is, which could always be tricky, you know? We've looked at, like, online multiplayer with Nintendo, for example, where, like, even, like, you know, there could be a lot of, like, connection interruptions just from playing online multiplayer. This is obviously different, so that's just generalizing it. This is definitely different than that, but it's still, you know, there's been multiple accounts of people who, you know, may have issues because their internet doesn't hold up enough. I have like two mindsets on this. Mainly, like, there are some areas where I think it's really good and some areas where it's not so good. I mean, the main area where it's not so good, obviously, being internet stability. You know, I've heard apparently in, like, other countries like Japan, like, the internet's a lot better than it is here in the US. I don't know how Europe is or other regions of the world. But our internet's not the best, you know, it could be a little spotty. And I feel like, especially because, you know, I'm going to mainly be working with the Switch here as an example for this video. With the Switch, for example, you know, the whole aspect of it is you can play it docked, you can play it on the go. By having cloud gaming as an option, you're almost just completely eliminating one of those options, being the portability, right? Cloud gaming, as of now, doesn't allow for a ton of portability. I don't even know, can you, like, you probably can do it over, like, wireless, like, 5G networks, I'm guessing, but it would probably be terribly unstable with a ton of input lag. And you kind of, especially for a lot of games, you don't want to have that kind of input latency there. But, you know, it kind of like defeats part of the purpose with the Switch. But if you're playing dock, that's fine. You know, I know mobile, there's a lot of streaming there too. But there's other services too besides Google Stadia that are still around. I know Amazon Luna is one that I don't know if that's going to get shut down anytime soon. Xbox has their xCloud feature through Game Pass. I don't know if it's Game Pass Ultimate still. I know it was when I was using it a little over a year ago. But it has its uses. I really feel like it does have its uses. The main thing I see is for games that would not normally be able to run on the given hardware, because you can stream it. It's not really about the hardware specs at that point. It's about your internet connection, because the game itself is running on a remote server, like a cloud computer, if you will, right? To keep it kind of simple, a little simpler to understand. To be honest, I don't even know all the details myself. This is how I understand it, right? And that allows you to be able to play, you know, more, you know, beefy games on, like, to use the Switch example again, we can play games on the Switch that normally you couldn't because the hardware is not up to, like, you know, what PC, especially PC, but, like, even PS5 and Series X are up to, right? So I decided to look up a list of all those Switch Cloud games. I'm kind of running with this example. I know this is in general, but thanks Lady D for greeting me right at the start. So for example, right, a lot of these being games that either, like, you know, are very recent, like PS5, Xbox Series X, like 4K ray tracing, all this enabled games, or, you know, games from a little earlier that still were pretty demanding in terms of resources that the Switch just wouldn't be able to handle. So games like Control, I think, is a good one. Hitman 3 here. We'll get to that one later. Yep, we'll get to that later. Come on, get out of here. You're spoiling it for me. I have no idea what Time Misha is, but it looks like a pretty intensive game. Forgotten City also seems like, I mean, it's a 4K game. It seems like it's pretty intensive. Guardians of the Galaxy. I forgot that was a cloud game, by the way. Plague Tale, the first one, Innocence. Resident Evil Village, and then I think 2 and 3, and 7 as well. are all cloud, and these are all like pretty physically demanding games in terms of resources. Dying Light 2, another one. So I feel like it's honestly, cloud gaming like is inherently not a bad thing, but I feel like it's had a reputation of being bad. Because yes, it is reliant on your internet connection, but at the same time, you're trading that off with, hardware specs. So you're able to play these games. If you have, a good internet, which can be hard to come across sometimes, especially in the US, you're trading, different resources here. So it's like, if you don't have another option to play these games, you get to play some of these games like Control, like Hitman, like the newer Resident Evil games, Guardians of the Galaxy, games like these. You get a chance to now play them. You just need a decent connection. So for that reason, I think cloud gaming is honestly really cool, and it has a lot of uses to where you can try some of these games out. When I had Game Pass a little over a year ago, I tried a tiny bit of Forza Horizon 5, and while it wasn't the most stable, it was still really cool to be able to have it in some form of like handheld portability, which is kind of cool. Not portability because, you need to be near a stable internet connection. But like to be able to have it in that form factor is really cool. And I think going forward, there will be a lot of really cool uses for it. But then you have the other side of the coin where you can make an argument where certain games have come out, speaking about the Switch again, that are natively developed, that are considered like these impossible ports. Witcher 3 is a big one. Doom 2016 is another one, which I actually played Doom 2016. I haven't played The Witcher on Switch, but Doom 2016 it's 30 FPS. It's a little, I think it's only like 720p on Switch, but like it's still, I had a lot of fun playing it. It's not, compared to the PC current gen, or I guess it was probably Xbox. Was it Xbox One, PS4 at the time? It must have been. At the time, like, yeah, it was night and day comparisons. But like the fact that it was natively developed was ridiculous. Another one being Nier Automata, the End of Yorha edition that just came out a few months back as of this recording. That was a really like mind-blowing one. So in some cases, like, developers can go out of their way to make natively developed versions. And like, trust me, I would prefer that compared to cloud. But in some cases, it's either just will consume too much money or time or resources to be able to develop it natively for a platform. So the cloud is a nice alternative where we can have these games, be played on another system remotely. And we just, if you have a good enough internet connection, you get to kind of have access to it. Now, the one caveat to this, the one game that just confuses me to this day, and I know Huey, shout out to Huey, member of the channel, I know you're going to disagree with me here, but listen. We're talking about Kingdom Hearts now. Kingdom Hearts is such an anomaly, especially now that Nier Automata, also from Square Enix, I guess Platinum helped too, now that is native, if you told me 5-10 years ago, if you were like, oh, you're going to be able to play Nier, well, no, 10 years ago, Nier Automata didn't exist. If you had told me 5 years ago, if you told me Nier, not that I knew enough, but pretend I did, Nier Automata is going to be played natively on the Nintendo Switch, but Kingdom Hearts will not be, I would have been like, what, you're out of your mind. Like, that makes no, if anything, it'd be the other way around, right? Kingdom Hearts 3, I get. Kingdom Hearts 3 gets a pass for me. Kingdom Hearts 3, I feel like, is new enough, and I've seen some footage of, like, the different effects and particle effects and the lighting in that game, where I'm like, okay, yeah, cloud version for Kingdom Hearts 3, totally understandable. Totally understandable. But what if there's... I kind of want to say there's no excuse for the other collections. It honestly... It doesn't make sense when some of these collections existed all the way back on the PS2. We know the Switch can handle like 360 PS3 era native games. It's not completely one-to-one, of course, with a comparison, but we know that the Switch can run these kinds of games. And so it's just such an anomaly to have these collections be cloud. Is it because they like ported over the PS4 collection specifically, and because of that they weren't able to run or something on the Switch? Like, I genuinely don't know. I genuinely do not know. I am so glad I have a Series X to where I can play those games natively and not rely on an internet connection. To be like, cloud gaming is obviously not the optimal solution in any case. Native is always great, but when you have cloud or nothing, cloud is still the better option here. So for most of these games, I think having the cloud option is honestly cool. Is it the best way to play it? No, but like I said, if that's your only option, then it's better to have an option that relies on your internet than no option at all, So that's personally my thinking. But Kingdom Hearts is just a weird situation where it's like, especially like let's pull up this Nier Automata footage, right? Here's the launch trailer for Nier Automata End of Your Heart Edition, which just came out a few months ago as of this recording. Obviously, there are compromises being made to these ports, like this game, like Witcher 3, like Doom 2016, that are just like, you know, not as good as the original, of course. But it's still just absurd that these games are native with some compromises, like, you know, this being 30 FPS and, you know, some textures can be a little bit muddy. And then you have Kingdom Hearts that, like, I don't understand. I don't even know how to word it. It's just it's such a weird thing. Another miracle on Switch, right? Kingdom Hearts would not have been a miracle on Switch if it was native. It would have been like, yeah, this makes sense. It's kind of weird to me. Let me know in the comments if you're. I know, Hugh, you're probably gonna say something. Anybody else, let me know in the comments below too if maybe you're not that kind of confused like I am about Kingdom Hearts being cloud versions, but I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it feels like just Square Enix didn't care enough to put in the time to make a native port. You know, that's what it feels like. I don't know the full details behind it. Maybe there's a good reason that I'm just not aware of, but from the outside looking in, it's a little weird. It's like, you know, I remember when Sakurai during the Sora reveal trailer announced they were coming to Switch, everybody's like, yes! And then they were like cloud versions, and it's like, what? Definitely was a little bit weird, but I mean, like I said, it's good to have them there. It's good that we have Kingdom Hearts on Switch rather than not at all. Like, that's awesome. And if that's your only option, like, apparently it's okay, I think. It all, like I said, it all depends on your internet connection. But it's such a weird one. All of these other games, I understand why they're cloud. I understand why Kingdom Hearts 3 is cloud, but specifically, like, 1.5 and 2.5 and 2.8, I don't know all the numbers. I barely know anything about Kingdom Hearts. It's such a weird anomaly, to me at least. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But that's pretty much, like I said, just to kind of wrap up this quick little video. You know, like, Stadia obviously died. That is unfortunate to hear. I'm glad they, you know, were able to refund people and make this controller actually, because it is a good, cool-looking controller, and apparently it's pretty decent. It's glad that they made that compatible with other just, you know, regular Bluetooth devices and things like that. So that's cool. Apparently their pricing model wasn't great, and they just didn't get a ton of as much support as they would have hoped, and they just kind of shut it down. It's also apparently Google's notorious for shutting these things down quickly. So it's unfortunate, but I don't think cloud gaming is going to go away. You know, I think this is a new mainstay. I hope that it doesn't completely replace native gameplay. That's the one thing I'm concerned about, like, years to the future, unless they really fix the network infrastructure they have, you know, in terms of just having access to the internet, because, you know, it's constantly improving, so I'm sure they will, but it's a little concerning if we go down that route, completely get rid of, like, native physical or digital game, you know what I mean? So that's the one thing I'm worried about with this, that they'll kind of go to the next level. They'll jump the gun before we have that infrastructure set in stone and we can fully rely on a stable connection, like, at all times, essentially, which who knows, but it's good as an option. It's good as an option when it makes sense. When it doesn't make sense, and companies will just port games without any effort. And apparently, I think Alan Wake Remastered, I want to say, was released as a cloud version on the Switch, and apparently it was terrible. Actually, no, let me double check. I want to make sure that is, because I could be speaking out of my butt there. Let's check it out. Maybe it is native. 58% on Metacritic, but I think that's specifically the Switch version. No, not Fire Emblem Engage. I'm happy you're coming out, but not that one. I get, maybe it is native. Okay, maybe that one doesn't apply. See, this is a scenario. I think this is native. I think this is native, actually. Okay, so I take that back, but, like, the fact that this is an example where it should have been cloud, right? It's cool to have Alan Wake on the system, but apparently, just from some of the reviews and stuff I've read, like, the performance is honestly terrible. I think Deadly Premonition might be another one of those, where cloud versions make a lot of sense for games like this that really could probably use it. Alan Wake, in that case, probably could have used... You gotta admire the attempt to get it to work, but, like, if you can't get it to work, then it's like, just do the cloud version at that point. Whereas with Square Enix, I don't know. When they did End of Yorha Edition, native, and Kingdom Hearts Cloud. That's the weird anomaly. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Let me know if you're okay with cloud gaming. I know it can be a bit of a turnoff with some things, but I think it depends on the game for me personally. But let me know what you think about cloud gaming in the comments below. And hey, check out some live streams on the channel if you're interested. I don't know what game what am I streaming? You tell me. I don't even know. But anyways, I will catch you all in the next video or live stream. Take care in the meantime. Cloud gaming's probably here to stay for the future. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it improves and becomes more stable over time. But until then, hey, keep on gaming. I'll see y'all later.